Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. As you can see, you might not know, we might release tweets for this. This is our third time of trying to record. With technical issues abound, this should hopefully go well. But have you ever been given the wrong advice? Clearly, I have, because Zoom was lying to me the whole time. You've been told to expect one thing and then experience something completely opposite. Well, we're here to address this. Each episode, we're going to be bringing on a guest speaker from Brunel, whether they're a current student or an alumni, to discuss some assumptions that we've had on certain topics, but also things that we were told to expect or we had assumptions about, and then this was completely different from what we went through. But don't worry, we're not going to leave you in the dark. We're not going to leave you in doom and gloom there. We're going to be offering some personal tips, some personal advice, as well as some lessons learned so you can learn from our mistakes and our experiences. So, for the third time, to kick things off, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker. So, hi, how are you doing?
I'm all good, thank you. Not much fun. My name is Monica. I work in university and I'm also a student. I'm the current EU officer, chair of Portuguese, chair of volleyball, so a little bit of areas in university. And I'm finishing now my marketing degree.
Well, thank you. And I think it's really great because that we will be including that in one of the corners, the episode for that. And I definitely recommend you check it out because it's really good, especially links to what we're going to be talking about today. So something new that we've added is, in line with our title, so no one told you. We're going to be saying things at the start that hopefully a few of you may know, but if, fingers crossed, no one knows. So something no one told me until my research and, before Monica didn't know about, was that essentially Jingle Bells, it's not a Christmas song. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it was released by a Christian school, basically in line with Thanksgiving. But obviously, because Jingle Bells mentions a lot about, winter and enjoying the snow, it eventually just got moved in towards a more Christmas themed song. And that's why in the song, it never actually mentions Christmas. So that's your first fact of the day.
Still shocking.
Yeah.
Second time I heard it. Still shocking.
It's definitely weird because like you said, you just associate. It's been so many renditions, so many people have sung it. But yeah, it's Thanksgiving song. So who knows? Maybe they'll start singing it at Thanksgiving. But we'll wait and see. But yeah, we're gonna dive into the first assumption. And essentially, this is all about looking at for our episode, it's all about living on campus. And I think it's really important to mention that at the start, I have not lived on campus. But I know people who have. Monica, she's currently living on campus, and she lived on campus through the pandemic. And again, we'll be talking more about that later on. So I definitely recommend that if you relate to that experience, it's really good. But yeah, it can still relate whether you've lived on campus, whether you haven't. And we'll be offering, tips, advice, and such as we go through the episode. So to start things off, living on campus, the assumption that we've got, first one, is living on campus can be really fun. Now, Monica, was this the case for you? Were you super excited to be living on campus?
Oh, I was super excited to be living on campus, 100%. That was one of the main criteria I had for coming to the UK to study. It was coming for a campus university because we don't really have campus in Portugal, which is where I come from. So I was like, oh my God, that whole experience must be so nice. Just like have everyone in the same space. And then if you want, we go out. And in theory, still close to London. Obviously, after I got here, I realized we're not. That's another thing. We're not close to London.
Yeah, I think.
But it was really fun, and it still is really fun.
Okay. Oh no, I definitely agree. And I was just going to say that. Yeah, I definitely agree. Brunel's a 45-minute into central London.
Good luck.
Yeah. But no, I think that's really true. And I think it's important to mention that whether you're moving to a new country, whether it's your first time at university or, your first time in your family, you're going to university, it's an experience. It's something new. It's something that you probably haven't done before. You haven't lived away from home for a long period of time. So it definitely, can for some people, it can appear fun. But obviously it can also be lonely. And I know you mentioned in your episode that you lived on campus during COVID, during the lockdowns that were happening. And that, I can imagine, must be crazy because from people that were living on campus, they were saying, campus was bare compared to what it was now. I guess the thing that I want to know is, did you ever feel lonely or, could you see how someone could feel lonely?
100%. I can see how someone could feel lonely. Obviously, during COVID, sometimes I did feel, especially around Christmas when everyone went home for vacations. Even I went home, but I came back before everyone. So when I got on campus, all my friends, everyone, they were still back home and they didn't even had a date yet when to come back. So during that period, 100%, it was very lonely because it was also like exam assignment season. So everyone that was on campus was like studying around it. And library was also not open 24/7. It was just open till 6 p.m. Very different from what it is now. So obviously everyone just like put in their rooms. That time 100% was quite lonely, which is understandable, obviously. But as I always say, if you get the right people around you, if you get the right group of friends, it becomes so much easier. And even when you're trying to feel lonely, because sometimes even we try to do that for ourselves and like, oh, I just want to be alone. If you have good friends, they don't allow you, and you always have such a good thing around you. So yeah, I can see that, but hopefully that doesn't happen as much now. At least we try to fight that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's really important what you mentioned there about, a good group of friends, because we in the last episode we sort of talked about that as well, as living away from home. If you've got a good connection of friends, that's your support system, especially if you're living away from home, you're by yourself. In your episode that you meant about societies, you've spoken about here that you're in charge of, the chair, of the Portuguese society, and I know from being Nigerian that my first thing to campus when I went to Freshers Fair was finding the Nigerian society, because having that community is nice.
It's very important.
And I definitely agree.
It makes you feel like come home again.
Exactly.
Like you're raised with everything.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of links to, the advice, because what I've got here, and we'll be adding it to it as well, is, using opportunities like you mentioned, society events to get to know people. One of the great things is a lot of societies at Brunel are open to everyone. They're not exclusive to just whether you're from the country or whether you're really interested in the sport or whatever. They're open to anyone taking part and being involved as much as they want, which I really, really definitely think is true. And then I've also said here, doing activities, whether it's going to hosting parties or whatever. I know also sometimes having a house party can be a mess to clean, so I can understand why you might not be interested in it. But doing some of the activities of the same people in the same flat or in the same building as you is always good to sort of like connect with different people.
Yeah, if you have a good flat, it also helps a lot.
Definitely.
So that's just luck.
It's very hard.
It's very lucky.
But no, and then last but not least, we've got, speak to your residence ambassadors. So you might not know, but each accommodation at Brunel has a resident ambassador. I think at least 2 that are connected to it, and they do stuff that can help you as a student, whether it's to deal with loneliness, whether it's tips on, living away from home. And we will be getting onto literally in the next one about some of the things that you might not necessarily be prepared for when you're living away or living on campus and you're not sure of things. But yeah, I guess are there any other bits of advice that you'd like to give, Monica?
Now, I would give one of the advice as in before coming to campus. Okay. One of the things that I did that I think really, really did help me was before even arriving to UK, to Brunel, to anything, I went to every single group chat that I could find about Brunel, any single page, anything that I could find Brunel, people on Instagram having Brunel 23 on their bio, any single thing, I would right away try to connect with everyone, because obviously most of us were coming here for the first time. So it really was helpful when I got on campus to know that I already knew so many people and I could already just go to them, oh, you want to meet today for the first time? Because obviously we only talk online. So one really good tip is try to meet as many people as you can before even coming to the country, because that will help you 100% when you actually reach here and you need something. And they're going to be here 100%.
Definitely. And I think kind of like we mentioned, a lot of students do put in their bio, I'm going to Brunel. And it is good because it's nice to see especially if you're the only one, whether it's your friendship group or, from your home country, going to this university, you might be like, oh gosh, the introductions and all of this and meeting new people when you move in can be really awkward. But like you said, whether it's just using social media and seeing, oh, this person's going to Brunel in 20, exactly, it's really good.
It's an easy opening, because even if someone follows me and I don't know that person, if I see right away Brunel, I'm like, oh, it's fine, it's Brunel. Exactly. And you just create that kind of community. Exactly. It's really nice.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, we'll go on to our next one, which is essentially living on campus can or will be easy. Now, Monica, did you feel like living on campus would be easy?
I felt, yeah, I really did. Like for me, I love that. Obviously, there are some things we're not used to it. Like I know some of my friends really struggle with continue eating normally, instead of just fast food and packaged food. I know a lot of them had so many issues about it. Obviously, you also have the laundry. There's no more parents doing our laundry. We have to go throughout the hall, do it, put it drying, come back, put it back again. All those things, obviously, some people are not used to it. So those are the main difference that you're probably going to guess. And obviously being on yourself, because even if something bad happens, you just go back to your room. There's not really, let me go hug my mom type of thing, which is very sad, but it is also like, it's part of the process, obviously. But other than that, I think it's quite easy. If you have any issues with accommodation, you just call maintenance, they come right away. If you have any issues in terms of safety, you call security, they'll be there in 5-10 minutes as well. If you have a good flat, you also have a good amenities in the same. Even yesterday, I had a flat Christmas dinner in my flat. So it's quite nice. Everyone's just in the hallway doing Secret Santa. So all those little things make the process very much easier and makes you remember forever, 100%.
Definitely. And I know from speaking to people on podcasts like Samuel, but also speaking to other friends who lived on campus, they said that, like what you mentioned there about your flatmates, doing stuff with your flatmates sort of builds those connections that last for forever, essentially, sometimes.
Yeah, and it builds easy in terms of like, I know so many people don't like going to the kitchen because all my flatmates are there and I want to cook with them. When you create a good relationship with them, because when obviously it's luck, because sometimes you just cannot control who you're living with. It just creates a good ambience. It's like, oh, I'm okay if they're in the kitchen. Yeah, it's fine. Let's go. We're all cooked together. Like it creates a good, easy ambience for you.
Definitely. But like we said, it's not always the case for everyone.
Yeah.
The reality for this is sometimes living on campus can be really hard. We said, especially sort of like Monica was saying, if you don't know how to cook, if you don't know how to wash clothes, if you don't know how to budget effectively. Was this when you first came to living on campus? Was this something that you had to
on budget? I would say 100%. Living on campus, although it has amazing things, which I still live on campus. I lived for 3 years and I continue to still on campus. It has amazing things, but in terms of budget, living on campus is expensive, especially in terms of even washing the clothes, everything. It's an extra to your rent that you don't have included like in most houses. So 100%. In terms of budgeting wise, it hurts your wallet. It hurts your wallet. You have to work. Exactly. In terms of cooking, I always love cooking. So for me, it was fine. It was even fun cooking for more people. Washing, awful. I had to call my mom so many times. Mom, what this clothes goes in the white, in the blacks, what it goes to? So many times that I had to call my mom. So yeah, obviously the first few months are going to be difficult because you're adjusting living alone as an adult.
Exactly.
Literally. But when you adjust, it's really good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Really responsibility as well.
100%. And it sort of makes you, I think, from speaking to, like family friends and stuff, sort of said that it is the first time when you actually see yourself in sort of like as an adult, because you can be 18, but you're not feeling it, you're not necessarily doing things independently. When you're sort of away from home, and especially if you're in a new country, you're sort of outside of your support system, you're sort of putting yourself in the deep end, and it can be good to sort of like learn, like you said, learn how to budget, learn how to cook, learn how to wash clothes properly. So yeah, I mean, we're going to just take a quick pause because you said you can cook. What is your favorite meal to cook?
Well, you came there. So I have favorite cuisines that I know how to cook. I love how to cook Italian. I love how to cook Indian, especially. I cook Indian almost every single day. I love it. And also like Chinese, something like that. Those are like my favorite ones. Obviously, I still do a bit of Portuguese, although it's a bit of much fish and meat and I'm vegetarian. But yeah, those are the main 3 cuisines. I don't think I have like a favorite one because I love food in general and I love cooking in general. And I'm the type of person that I don't even like to follow recipes. I like let's figure it out. Let's pick it up and figure it out. But my favorite cuisine would be 100% Italian. Yeah, those are my main ones.
Oh, perfect. And I definitely think, that's it's not necessarily linked to this, but it is a nice tip when it comes to cooking of like experimenting and like trying new things.
You have to. Supermarket is too far. It's not too far, but it's too far for me. I don't like walking. So.
No, but that's also true. Even like, and sort of links to the advice of what we sort of got here about, whether it comes to budgeting or whether it comes to, you might have occasions where you're just like, this is all I've got in the flat, and I have to split. So for the advice, there's loads of budgeting apps that you can find on, whether it's the Google Play Store, the Apple Play Store, that you can use to help you manage your finances, which I think is really good.
And we also have a support on campus from the Bernal team. They do help you with budgeting if you need to.
Oh, that's really good, because I know, kind of like what you're saying, Black Friday was only a few weeks ago, and I know I did indulge in
no,
but
damage.
Yeah. But yeah, having budgeting apps are really good, or even like you said, using the services of Brunel, because it is good to have someone be like, to buy all of these things, which is always good to have as a reminder. And then I said, learn to try to learn how to cook to save money, because like you mentioned, your typical student thing is, if you especially have 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. lectures, because I know for people who've had those, and those are tough. So you might get back and you're just like, I can't be bothered to cook. I'm just going to order takeout, or deliveries just a click away. But it does damage you, and
it does damage your wallet. It hurts so bad.
And it is good to try and like learn how to cook, because you can then, kind of like what we were saying there, you can think of, this is my monthly shopping. I buy this every month. How can I then make meals out of this that will last for the whole week? And then I said, YouTube, that can help you, whether it's budgeting, cooking, saving money, learning to wash clothes. YouTube is a great resource for some of this stuff, and especially I've put asking friends. Like you mentioned, you can ask family, but I know also as well that sometimes it might be, there might be in our previous episode that we had with Layla, she was saying that she was the cleaning expert, so her friends would ask her about help with that. So even if you're if you're that friend, your friends might be thinking, they might be nervous to ask, but we're saying here, approach them, let them know that you can help them. And then the last thing, which I think is the most important, is be okay with making mistakes. I know, especially when it comes to budgeting, making mistakes can hurt. But it's also a good opportunity for you to learn like what you need and what you want. So I think there's like this really good budgeting advice that I heard, which was, you can essentially, one of it is, you cut your salary in half. So 50% of your salary will go into your savings. It's an emergency fund that you will use if need be, in emergency sake. Then you can give 10% for things that you might, you want to spend on yourself for leisure. Then 20%, I think, is given to like your weekly shopping and things like that. And then an extra 20% is just, if you want to invest in something. So, if you're, you want to put more into saving, or you want to spend a bit more on your food shopping, or, items or stuff you might need for your course, you can do that as well. But yeah, be okay to make mistakes. Oh, yeah. But yeah, we're now going to go on to another one, which is I have to live on campus while I attend the university. Now, as we sort of mentioned, I've never lived on campus, and Monica has lived on campus. So that's all answers that you don't, go straight to the reality, which is you don't have to live on campus. But kind of like from what we've been saying, it is a decision up to you. The experience will sort of differ, because obviously, Monica lives on campus. She can attend later events. I don't. So that means that I probably, unless I'm prepared. And again, there have been many times when I have attended a late event, and that comes to ordering an Uber, and you just see the price, and you'll be like, gosh, was it worth it?
Personal perspective, yes. You need to live on campus. No, you don't, but I would 100% recommend it. I always tell my friends when they're like, oh, let's next year leave university, let's go off campus. I'm always like, no. Listen, we have our whole lives to live in houses. We have our whole lives to share with like our friends or close people, or in a relationship, living alone. Like we have our whole lives to be in houses. We only have this few years to actually have university experience, to have the halls experience. Although obviously I understand that some people cannot, like in terms of budget wise, in terms of how much it is, which totally understandable. It is much more expensive to live on campus than off campus. The experience you also have here, you will not forget about it. Even for the bad things, like, oh, my kitchen was so dirty. It happens. But at the same time, it's a fun thing, because you're going to record it. And one day you're going to remember about it. Like, oh, how did I live in this place? Yeah. So for me, in terms of experience, you 100% should leave at least 1 year. It's your freshers, something like that. But you don't have to, but I really recommend it. 100%.
I definitely get that. And I think, it's important to mention, because probably said this before, that, when I say different, I don't mean in like a bad way, but in more of an experience, like I said, and it's literally like what different means. Of like what you were mentioning there, the freshers experience is only an experience you can get when you're at university for the first time of living on campus. And there, I completely, like you said, there might be people that prefer to live off campus, or feel like, actually I don't want to risk the flatmate situation, so I prefer to be with friends. But yeah, it's completely up to you. What works best for you. And that sort of links to the advice. I think kind of like what we said there, it's about making sure that you've thought thoroughly about the decision, because obviously you shouldn't just rush into it. Like you said, you're committing to, this is a financial agreement that you're essentially committing to at the end of the day.
And you can all leave your contract.
Exactly. So
if you get a contract with Brunel, you're done.
Exactly.
Until that contract ends, you can all leave. It's almost impossible.
Exactly. And it's especially when it comes to like, if you want to, I don't know, let's say, for example, halfway through, you're just like, actually, I prefer to live from home, or you want to move out to, your friends found this amazing house and you're just like, oh, gosh, I want to go there. Unfortunately, you're still paying for that room. So it's one of the things you have to think thoroughly about. You can speak to the resident ambassadors, the accommodation teams. There are websites like the Student Room that have been our MC of the month that have essentially student input. They have, especially the Student Room, which is something that's, allows students to talk about their own societies and things like that. And there's been blogs done by Brunel students. I know that I did one, and if I can find it from Brunel, I'll try. It talks about like the overall experience. So like how some students, especially if they're international students, have felt about living on campus, how some people have felt living off campus, how they felt about living in, the surrounding area and the accommodation there.
One thing I do have to say is don't rush in your second year or even first to right away go living with friends. It can go really good, but it can also go really bad, because obviously like it's very different to be friends with someone and having to live with them. Although I love my friends, there's a few things that they have that I personally like couldn't be living in the same house, because I know that some little things will trigger me. Like obviously there's so many things that trigger everyone. Like even some people leaving a sock, for me it may just be a sock, for other persons like, oh my god, that sock is there every day. So obviously that can ruin real friendships that you have. Obviously for the long time you're in university, everything is still going good, you're mostly together every day, still goes well, then go ahead and have that. But I know so many people that on the first year for second that they went ahead and live with those people from the first year, and they completely separated like during the middle of the year, where they had to move out and found someone else to get in. So just be aware of the people that you want to live with, and that you guys match in terms of the way living, in terms of even food, in terms of everything.
Exactly. Because I think kind of like we mentioned there that, just because you're friends with someone, like you said, doesn't mean that living with them is going to be as easy as your friendship. So yeah, I think kind of like we mentioned there, and it also, sort of links to the last point that I've got for this before we go into the last sort of set is, the most important thing is that you live somewhere that you enjoy, and ideally won't severely impact your studies. Whether you feel like living from home will be the best thing because you won't get distracted, whether you think living on campus will be the best thing because it will give you the opportunity to like have a good experience. And, like you said, the library is open 24 hours. You can then go to the library anytime you want if you want to get a bit of a new study in a new environment. The most important thing is enjoy where you're staying and make sure that it doesn't affect your studies, because at the end of the day, it's going to affect you. Going on to the last one, we basically got, you'll always be guaranteed university accommodation. And yes, it's a straight one.
You are in your first year.
Yeah, in your first year.
That's it. And still not what you want. You are in your first year and accommodation. No, you're not guaranteed accommodation on campus at all. Although most people always get it. If you do apply much later, you're not at all. I know some people that even apply like in August and they didn't really got the room, or the ones that got it, it was not what they wanted at all. So in first year, you are guaranteed accommodation on campus, even though if you still apply late, it's still a random one. It will not be the same one as all the freshers they got it, because campus kind of separated. Like one party is more freshers, the middle party is more like first, second year, a bit of third, and then the other part is more post-grads or third years. So obviously if you apply very late, you may not get the one that normally you're supposed to, but you still got one. So
And yeah, you sort of mentioned it there that, there is, well, like, I will say as a disclaimer that this was from ages ago that I was told this priority list. So please, like, if it has changed, don't come for me. But the truth that, like, there are loads of students on campus, like Monica was mentioning. We're not even just talking about undergraduate, postgraduate, PhD students. The list goes on. The priority is usually first, and this is not in like order. These are just like they're the priorities. So first years, final year students, international students, and master students. And this can change. This may be the same way it's done now. This may change in the future due to how accommodation goes. And kind of like Monica was saying, there's a variety of accommodation. So there's usually we'll all have like a shared kitchen, but sometimes there are shared showers, shared bathrooms, shared toilets, and it can,
or studios
as well. So this sort of links to the advice, which is, think about, I've said here, think about living with friends, but sort of like we mentioned, think about the friends you want to be living with. But yeah, there are loads of places in the Uxbridge area that you can live. If this isn't possible for you, you could think about possibly living closer to central London. Again, the closer you get to London, the more pricey it will get. So that is also a big concern. But yeah, if possible, if especially you've lived on campus for your first year or, for your second year as well, and I don't know, you're going into your final year, you want to get your heads down into the book, or you feel like being on campus might not be the best thing for you. Think about if living at home, or living near, any relatives that might live near Brunel, that might be something that you could do.
Or if you do live on campus, there's a way you can go around this. Like, for example, if you're a first year student and in your second year, for a fact you want to stay in campus second year, you can apply in I think it's January or February, and you get your offer by March. So those types of things, even from second to third, is the same thing. If you apply right away in the beginning of the year, they already know that you want to stay. So that gives you more chances that you're probably going to stay and on the hall that you want. Although it's not guaranteed, it's very much likely. So if you have everything prepared, you already know there's things around it that you can do to be able to stay on campus, which is really nice.
And definitely, just think, the end of the day is, you just got to think about, I guess, with the whole sort of nice way to round the episode up is, enjoy uni. We literally did an episode about, societies at a university and why it's really good to engage with societies. But the university experience is a unique experience because, a lot of people say that it's the one where you can make the most mistakes, but it won't severely impact you. You don't have a full-time job. You're not paying, like you said, you're not living in a house. You're not paying rent. And it's that opportunity where you can make mistakes, but there's like a good support network to support you when you're making mistakes.
Yeah, and it can be an amazing experience, but also a really bad experience. And that's totally fine. I think people kind of don't understand that if you have a really bad experience at the same time, you have learned so much.
Exactly.
You have learned how, for example, some people, you guys just don't connect. Some people really try to even force friendships when it's just not there. It's totally fine to have different vibes, to have different interests, and some people just don't connect with each other, and that's totally fine. So even if you're having a bad university experience, first, I'm sorry. I hope you get a bit better, but don't worry, because 100% it will be life lessons that you're going to have. 100%. If you're having a good one, then years of your life, enjoy.
Well, definitely. And I think kind of, to end it there, that whether it's a good experience or a bad experience, there are always lessons to be learned. And, you will, yeah. And I think, just a side thing is that we've had a lot of discussions when it comes to, we do have an episode about making friends at uni and, the expectations of that. But I think especially we might have to dive into it a bit more because it's the second time that friends and, how friendships can go at university has definitely appeared. But yeah, all things must come to an end. And this is the end of the episode. Thank you, Monica, again for coming on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. It's so fun always.
Oh, thank you. See, it means that I'm not doing anything bad. So I'm very happy about that. And it's been really, like I said, it's been really great to not only hear you speak about, living on campus, especially as someone who didn't, but some of the tips you were mentioning, like I said, we're all learning new things. That's why I called So No One Told You. So it was really great to have that. And thank you to you, our wonderful audience, for coming back to another episode. If you like this episode, a like, comment, and subscribe is always appreciated and always cherished. If you want to know when the next episode is coming out, just please make sure that you click the notification bell so you don't miss it. And finally, if you're interested in receiving some perks, some nice things on the side, as well as supporting the podcast, because we can only do this through your support, then please do check out our Patreon page. We wish you all the best. Have a great day. See you all next time, where you will learn something that no one told you. So bye from now, and see you guys later.